I don't know what's going on with my hair, but y'all can bear with me. Can you guys hear me okay? I've got this mic hooked up that my daughter's like letting me use, but I don't know if it's working. So just tell me yes, I can hear you if it's working. Happy Sunday to everybody. Oh, thanks, Tia. Thanks, LFT. So who just won the March Madness? I'm curious. Hopefully not Texas. Okay, Tia can hear. Good. Hold on, I gotta check the scores. I did not want Texas. Let me go tell my people I'm live. I don't know. It doesn't say yet. Anyways, happy Sunday, guys. We are going to talk about the Murdoch case. If you guys, well, it might only be T and LFT here right now, but oh yeah, I was going to tell Punkette and those guys. If you guys haven't followed this case at all, Tia got me into it, and she sent me a whole bunch of stuff last night that kind of had me really digging today. And what we are learning about Stephen Smith is pretty insane. And I think that it's actually I think that this case is so crazy. Hey, Daisy Brown, because of the fact that I think there's so many lies that they've told that we don't know about it, that we don't know that they've done. But until today, like, I didn't realize that Grandpa Randolph died just a couple days after Paul and Maggie. And what I found was so weird as I was okay, thanks, Tia, as I was digging about this psychotic family today. Hey, Butterfly Kisses, was that so this Eddie guy, I don't think he's cousin Eddie. Eddie him and his wife are really close. I guess they're golf buddies of the Murdochs. But like the 11th, he posts this picture saying, "My golfing buddy for the past 20 years, I'm going to miss him so much." And he's got a picture of like Alex and Buster and then Grandpa. And he's like, "I'm going to miss him so much." And it's so odd to me because the Grandpa was like, and this isn't really prevalent, but it's just odd to me, was like what, like 110? And who said it last night? Grandpa was the only one allowed to die of old age. It was hilarious. But these people were like carrying on with life, more concerned that the head grandpa there died than Paul and Maggie being killed. It's just really bizarre. That was very bizarre because if you're friends with the family, like he tagged Alex and he tagged Buster, and I'm like, you're worried about golf when it's just this family's so crazy. So I think I have the main characters down. Who they all are now. I don't know. They keep coming out of the woodwork. So I want to say something I just talked to Tia about. If you guys don't know much about Gloria, the housekeeper, I really do go back and forth on that. So there is some speculation online that it was not an accident. We know that. And that a lot of people have been saying, ask Morgan. She knows all about it. Now, if you don't know who Morgan is, I had to figure that out. Morgan, it was Paul's girlfriend. So here's the deal, though. Tia brought up a really good point and helped me bring it back to maybe reality. So she was alive. Gloria was alive when she went to the hospital. And if Gloria's death was not an accident, you would think they would have finished the job before they let her go alive to the hospital. So that was a really good point. But anyways, Morgan's name being thrown out there to me was like, where did she come from in this story now? I don't know if she was at the home. That's all I can think about. I just am like, when did Morgan come into play? Because for all we know, Morgan was a victim of Paul's violent temper. Okay. But today we're going to talk about Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith, again, if you don't know, was the boy who was killed. I got a little map here. Where's Punkette? She's my map person. So I wanted to... So he died on what it looks like was Sandy Run Road, which is right there. It says it was close to Crocketville. So I didn't get a chance yet to ask Tia, but it's somewhere on this road. They said it was closer to Crocketville. So here's the Moselle house. Okay, that's where the the Murdochs lived or whatever, one of their many homes. Allegedly, according to what I was reading, Stephen Smith was walking back to Joe Miley Road, which is where he lived. Okay. So I'm going to guess he was probably more along the lines of down here. He was trying to walk over here. They said he was like 3 miles from his actual home, though. So from where he was about to there, it was like 5 miles. So here's a couple of things that his mom said. We're going to look at her letter, but a couple of things that was alarming is that she said that Tia's got it. She said that Stephen was very skittish. What's the matter? Me too, butterfly kisses. It's just a day. I've had to do some deep breathing. She said that Stephen was very skittish. He didn't really like the dark. The odds of him walking in the dark was not very likely. And he wouldn't really open the door to somebody unless somebody came and got him. So I do want to say also, I was looking into the autopsy because Tia got me on that last night. If you guys didn't watch that live, it was a really good live. Go back and watch it. But I apologize. Kate was really sick. So, hey, so done with it. I'm so glad you're here. I love when you're here. Because I got so much stuff to talk about with you. So, but I've got to stop reading this stuff before bed because it's creeping out my dreams. But okay. So the letter, if you guys haven't seen the letter, I'm going to briefly go through it because I know most of you have. But when we were doing the autopsy last night, I went and was like, okay, there's one word that's really bothering me because I like to study the brain. There's one word that's just not, that I'm not liking. And I'm going to look it up because something's off about it. And it bothered me that, the stretching, the brain stretching or whatever. So I went ahead and did some research. And so here, the brainstem injury, it's called like a focal traumatic brainstem injury, the stretching or whatever. It says most likely due to direct impact on the back of the head or stretching forces affecting the brainstem in cases of a fall from height, which we'll get to that. I know everyone's going to say more probable after an assault, particularly those associated with kicks. That got my brain thinking. And then I did it. That's all right, Punk Cat, I forgive you. But then, that stretching has bothered me. So here was my thought. And this is a theory, right? We're not saying. It almost sounds like they might have, because then I was looking at the laceration. 7-inch laceration on the forehead is massive. They also said that the wounds on his arms were, what did it say? Abnormal. Hey, KB Rays. Okay. It was a weird wording. It was something like abnormal. So my thought was maybe we've all been kind of on the same wavelength as what if, that's why I said it to you, they hit him with a bat or a tire iron. When he's on the ground, whoever it is, I think it's more than one person, is kicking him, like kicking his head. That would cause a complex fall from a height. So I went further because I know what everybody was going to say. Well, if he got hit by a car, he was flown, he fell. I went further. In order to have a stretch, the fall from the height has to be a very significant height, though. It has to be pretty complex for it to cause that type of brain stretching. But that really was huge to me, saying particularly those associated with kicks after an assault. So right there tells me, how in the heck could anybody have ever labeled this a hit and run just by saying potentially assault, but then for that type of injury. That was the first injury listed. But then the 7-inch laceration, I'm sorry, unless he fell into like razor blades on the road. So he has a laceration, but we don't see like road rash or anything like that. His wounds were so bad in his face that they had to putty it for his funeral. And that's in his mom's letter. And I'm going to read part of his letters. And not only that, his wounds were so bad that some people mistook his wounds for a gunshot wound. I can't imagine what it's like being hit by a car. I get it. It's awful. But it doesn't line up. You get hit by a car, you're getting thrown every which way, not just your right side. This is a kid that got the crap beat out of him. Let's look at his mom's letter. So his mom wrote a letter years ago, I think. So I will say, interestingly enough, it's so bizarre, like that Grandpa dies 2 days after Paul and Maggie, and everyone's more worried about Grandpa than Paul and Maggie. That to me is wild. I'm like, am I missing something here? Like, Grandpa was like 110. And I mean, it's sad he died, but look, I don't even know what to say. I will say that one interesting fact is that Stephen's sister claims that Stephen was seeing a wealthy boy from, well, I believe she said the Murdoch family. We'll go look at it, but from a rich family, wealthy family. Hey, Zoomer mom. And that he was supposed to go on a boating deep sea fishing trip with this man or whoever he was dating in July. I will say I found a picture of Buster and his buddies on a boat in July. I get it, right? Hey, S. Hockett. Oh, totally KB Rays. Totally could be both. That's another great, that's another great idea. That's another great thought. Look, it was a summer. I get it. People go boating. Hey, Mark. He was the most important person in the family. Sadly, the king is dead. Right, Tia? She's not talking about Steven. She's talking about Grandpa. If you guys could have seen my face, I was like, looking at my husband, I was like, okay, I just realized that the grandfather that's 110, no, he was actually like in his 80s, died 2 days after, but everybody's talking about him over like, and tagging Buster and Alex saying, my golf buddy is gone. I'm so sad. And I'm like, wait, is this right? Is this possibly 2 days after his, it's just insane. And the obituary, hey, crazy mama, doesn't say grandpa, granddad, head honcho, head creepy guy, doesn't even say in his obituary, like, this comes just days after the tragic death of, so it says he was predeceased by Maggie, his daughter-in-law, and his grandson, Paul. Yes, he was 2 days ago, very tragically. I'm sorry, these people, you just can't make this crap up. All right, let's look at Stephen's mom's letter. These people are just. But it's funny, people saying that about Gloria and implicating Morgan, Paul's girlfriend, who was deeply traumatized by Paul and the events of the boating. Isn't it funny, though? No one is in the Murdoch family is ever at fault, right? It's always somebody else. It's always somebody else. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so this was written in 2016 from Sandy. That's Stephen's mom, who, bless her heart, has fought tooth and nails. What, right, KB Rays? I know. What are you going to do with that? I mean, we all like golf, but there's a time and a place to post those type of things. And Tia couldn't have said it better, though. He's the king. The king was dead. That's really all they cared about. The secondary people were, and you got to remember, Paul was nothing but what do you call that when it's like a like a liability, right? Paul was a liability because Paul was always in trouble. And Maggie, I think she knew some things. So, many people do believe Maggie knew everything about the money. But like we talked about on Tia and LFT's live last night, the thing is she was quite content. Was there a lot of love for Alex? I think, and somebody said it well last night, I think there was love at one point, but she wasn't in love with him anymore. But she was content at her beach house with the money coming in and living life. Like, it's kind of like those, you don't ask questions, you just do it, I don't think that Maggie was necessarily, and I can't say for certain, an overall lovey-dovey type person. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's just the vibe I've got. Okay, so here we've got Mama Sandy, and you're right. Who said that? She never, ever, crazy mama. She never gave up, this woman. And interestingly enough, I did not realize in 2021 that they are looking into Gloria's death as well. But if you haven't heard, Stephen Smith is now becoming, is considered a homicide investigation. I think so too, Mark. That's a really good point, Mark, because I think so too. So done with it. And look at it, ended up being, they are LFT. It ended up being true. That's a good point, Mark, because somebody said that they've, during this whole investigation for Paul and Maggie, they uncovered some really like damning evidence that reopened this case to kind of like say, and it's something between the actual, like, the family and this death. So, and just to recap, if you didn't watch last night, it is, so I looked into Johnny Marvin there, John Boy Marvin. Oh my goodness, guys. So let me just say, if you had to have an image of a perfect family, this Murdoch family would be one that you would think is this perfect. It's like a freaking TV movie. I'm telling you. For sure. So done with it. So you've got Johnny Boy Marvin, who has the perfect life, the perfect kids, the youngest brother. So he's the one that takes the boat out of the water, gets special of when they had the boating accident. He gets special permission to go get the boat out or whatever. And I didn't know until today that he also got special permission to go to the crime scene where Paul and Maggie were and went ahead and took it upon himself to clean up Paul's remains, I guess. Reminds me of a Murdoch, right? KB Ray's. So Randy, then you've got other brother. This is my other brother, Randy. So you've got brother Randy, who is now speaking out against Alex. However, as of most recently, what I read, John Marvin still believes Alex innocent. Okay. By the way, I say his name two different ways, Alec and Alex, all the time, because I just get it talking and I get mixed up. You know who I mean. Okay. So Randy, the day that Stephen Smith, and we're going to read about it, is found at 4 a.m. before, this is insane. And I'll show you in the letter. Before the cops have even confirmed, total confirmation that it was Stephen's body, Randy calls Stephen's family and wants to represent them. Part of me wondered, okay, were these people just offing people for insurance money? Because it took me a while to totally understand what the insurance scam with Gloria was. And now I understand. They basically wanted Gloria's family to sue the Murdaugh's insurance company. It took me a while, but I got it now. Yeah, I know, Mark. Isn't that crazy? Did you catch the sled told the Smith family that a new autopsy would... You're kidding me. Oh, really? So they've got some huge evidence. If you know, you know. Alec, same difference, right? Douchebag, whatever you want to call him. All right, let's look at Sandy's letter here. This poor woman. Oh, this poor mother. She's in desperate need of help. My 19-year-old Stephen Nicholas Smith was murdered on July 8th, 2015. I'm just saying Buster was on a boating trip shortly after that, but whatever. It has been apparent from the first week of the investigation, the authorities are covering up critical evidence, and we no longer know who to trust. Stephen's father, who is now passed away, which breaks my heart because he is not getting to live to see justice. They were first told that our son was shot to death after running out of gas in the early hours of the morning and exiting his vehicle. Later that day, we were told it was a hit and run. Finally, investigators determined he was beaten to death. He was attacked so violently that the entire side of his face was rebuilt with putty for his funeral. Hampton investigators asked us at the time to continue to publicly say it was a hit and run. They claimed they didn't want the killer to know they were looking for him. There have been no named suspects. Hey, Mark, you'll be interested in this. The first call my family received after the murder was from the authorities notifying us of Stephen's death. The second call came very quickly the same morning from solicitor Randolph Murdoch, a.k.a. Randy Boy. That's what I'm calling him. In fact, he called my ex-husband's cell phone as we waited in the police station for a positive identification. That is insane. So the dude, for some brilliant lawyers, these people are not, hey, Punksy, very smart. Okay, I'm just saying. So, honey, I'm in the middle of something. Why do you want this? Ow! It's time for bed. Go. Okay. Hey, Stephlyn. Awesome. Okay. The fact that the investigators didn't even say how Randy, did you know that it was him? It's one of those things you don't even know what to say. Like, okay. So then he said he heard of the case and was interested in working pro bono as liaison between the family investigators. Now, who else do we know did that later on for Gloria, right? And then again for Mallory when Big Daddy Alex comes in and tries to save the day. Very similar. Okay, so Stephen's father accepted the offer, although we were unsure why Mr. Murdoch wanted to help us. We also weren't sure how he found out so quickly, even before it was confirmed to be our son. Surprisingly, after just a few interactions, Mr. Murdoch stopped returning our calls. Maybe the idiot realized that it was a little bit too telling. Within days of our son's death, Stephen's twin sister Stephanie was approached multiple times by peers telling her that Solicitor Murdoch's nephews were responsible. So that would be Paul and what's his face as a Buster. As a family, it was suspicious to us since he had taken such an immediate interest in the case and then became unreachable so quickly. The suspicion reached new heights weeks later when Stephen's older brother, Chris, was approached at work by a young man he did not know. This person told Chris he was present when Stephen was murdered and witnessed everything firsthand. Holy cow. Wow. He said that Solicitor Murdoch's nephew, Buster Murdoch, who graduated with Stephen, beat Stephen to death with a baseball bat. He claimed it was because Stephen was gay. Stephen was, in fact, gay. The witness said they were out smashing mailboxes when they came upon Stephen, and Buster seized the opportunity. The young man told Chris that Buster threatened to kill him if he ever spoke up. This information was given to investigators, but nothing has come of it. In reviewing the 911 dispatch log, I found that the first responding officer, Michael Bridges, arrived on the scene within a minute of 911's dispatch, even though in Hampton County Sheriff's Office incident report, he claimed to have driven around for a while trying to find my son's body. The second officer, Jason Eubanks, arrived within 2 minutes. This is suspicious to me because the area where my son was placed is extremely rural. Cops do not patrol that area frequently, and it's not likely an officer, much less two, would coincidentally be patrolling there prior to 5 a.m. They had to be in that area at the time for a reason. I suspect they already knew Stephen was there, and I suspect the Murdochs were the one who told them. Oh my gosh. Steph, okay, is Cousin Eddie... I did not see any reports that mailboxes were smashed. Is Cousin Eddie Phillips, or is cousin, and I'm going to say his name because I don't care, or is Cousin Eddie the one that was involved in Alex's pretend shooting or whatever it was? Oh, okay, it is that cousin. Because this other Eddie that was really close to the Murdochs is the one that put the golf thing up a few days after they were killed, and was going on and on about how tragic it was that Randolph died. And I noticed there was a Debbie Phillips that was at the trial for Alex. Paul's girlfriends. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. You're very correct, Mark. That's true. And whoops, I meant to show his. Not only that is there's no, so let's say he was hit. Okay, let's say he was hit and then beat to death. Let's just say he was hit. There's no paint chips or anything that were found on him. Nor was there any type of blood spatter that would indicate. But I will say that, okay, let's go on, because Mom says more stuff hold on. Let me tell my daughter to stop playing the guitar for a second. I don't know why she's playing it now. She's got such attitude. No, a card. Were they found on him? There were blue paint chips found on him. Was it there was no paint chips found around him? Now I saw the shoes that he was wearing, and okay, go to sleep, honey.
You're talking
okay.
So loud.
Okay, no, thank you. Shut the door. Okay, on his clothes. Okay, I saw the shoes he was wearing, and they said they were really loosely tied. And if you look at how they were really loosely tied. There's no way those shoes would have stayed on. At least I don't think so. All right, I'm going back to the letter. Okay, we already know they're the most prominent family. Stephen had on more than one occasion mentioned to friends and his twin sister that he was involved romantically with someone from a prominent family in the county who was hiding his sexuality. He said that it would shock people to know that this person was gay. We suspect this could be the young man Stephen was referring to, though he never named him. I will say, there's no other prominent family in Hampton County than the Murdochs. At the beginning of the investigation, officers told us they would have to access Stephen's text messages for approximately a year. They claimed they would have to send the phone to Apple to override the security features. We found out months later that the phone had never been sent to Apple. Often, investigators claimed it was uncertain which department had the phone. They have since produced the phone, which they still have not sent to Apple. This was in 2016, but still claim they cannot access it. Wow. Since the murder, this is what I wanted you guys to see. Buster has gotten rid of his old vehicle, which is critical because according to the witness who approached Chris, they were traveling in Buster's old vehicle that night. It's also critical because Stephen was found 3 miles from his vehicle on the morning of his murder. There was no blood spatter on the crime scene despite his brutal beating, which makes it clear he was transported to that site. We believe there is DNA in Buster's old vehicle. I think it's important to note that Stephen's wallet was found in his own vehicle and his gas cap was open, which I think was just to make it look like he ran out of gas, further suggesting he did not leave willingly. Stephen was very skittish and would not, especially alone on a dark country road. Basically, so she says she was approached in September of 2015 by a gentleman claiming to know about a criminal case decades ago that was swept under a rug to protect a different member of the Murdoch family. Does anyone know what that is? Does anyone know? They can tell if the pig. Okay. Really crazy mommy? Hey, Glenn Jammin, we got to look into that. Oh, yeah. Where is Kate in here? She was so sick. Very loose and never. Okay, so does anyone know what case that this gentleman would have been? I know, right, Glenn Jammin? That this gentleman would have been talking about from decades ago? That's what I thought, Steph. That's what I thought. It just, when I saw that this thing about the brain stretching said most often the brain stretching is due to particularly kicks in the head, I really, really believe now that he was beat and that when he was on the ground, they just kept kicking him. And that tells me that whoever did it, I don't think it was just one person. I do believe it was probably Buster. I hate to, but maybe not. I do think it might have been Buster that was in the relationship with him. I don't know. Wonder if it was his vehicle. Was he perched head for? That's possible too. Yes. True step. That's true. Yeah. Wait, did somebody just in here say the boots? Steph, that's okay, y'all. What if they found, I don't know, it's not likely Buster would have the same, maybe. What if they found boots? That's the thing. Where was he? Is it possible he was beat right on Murdoch property? And when they were searching, that's what they found? Exactly, Steph. So I have never heard of a car accident where just the face, or being hit by a car where just the face looks like a bullet wound. Yeah. I want to know what it said this guy approached Sandy Smith saying decades ago there was another crime. We need to look up what other murder happened that Grandpa Murdoch would have come to the rescue on. We have got to find out. It says, I see history repeating itself with my son. We got to find out who that is. We believe Solicitor Murdoch's influence extends to pathologist Dr. Aaron Presnell, which we know did a shot-up job of whatever they did. He or she performed Stephen's autopsy, though Deputy Coroner Kelly Green and SLED agent Brittany Burke, who were both present for the autopsy, have gone on record to state that neither made any mention of a car striking Stephen. Dr. Presnell ruled his death a hit and run. She was combative with the Highway Department investigator Todd Proctor regarding her findings when he pointed out that the only trauma was to Stephen's head. He asked how she came to that conclusion, and she said it was because he was found in the road. That alone was her reason. She insisted hit and run, despite the fact that neither his injuries nor the crime scene support the finding. The coroner disagrees with her determination and has documented multiple times in the case file that there were no skid marks or vehicle debris consistent with a hit and run at the crime scene. Dr. Presnell herself confirmed to investigator Proctor that she found no glass or other fragments on the body to suggest a hit and run. That's so Presnell told Proctor that she would change her report to read however he wanted. Holy cow. I'll try to hey, proud grandma. So, Steph, it's interesting that you say that. I got to put this mic closer. It's interesting that you say that because I sent Tia something, and look, I want to say this is for sure, Glenn Jamin. I want to say this as kindly as possible because I'm not trying to label anyone, but there's this picture of Buster, and it's in 2012 or 2013. There's a few pictures of him with this group that would just. So a lot of his friends are commenting, how did you get that gang to go hunting, Buster? And he'll say it was their idea. Like they were all camoed out and, had been out hunting. And like, there's multiple pictures of Buster with this alleged, what people keep saying is, and this is commenting way back then, so take it with a grain of salt, or how did you get that gang to go, out hunting with you or something? I also did find some of his key friends in 2015. Hey, Jeremiah Johnson. Thanks. Good to see you too. I'm trying, it's got to be a fine line in how far you dig because I don't know. I think Buster's in some deep water. Let me read what else. And I 100% agree. Somebody got to Presnell. And this poor woman wrote this in 2016 and didn't even get anybody to even see it until after Paul and Maggie died. Solicitor Murdoch is widely known, and it appears this is playing to its advantage. We need someone who doesn't care about his family name to take this case seriously. In July 2016, I wrote the Attorney General Loretta Lynch in hopes that she could and would help us, but there has been no response. I have enclosed key documents. So the 911 call, the autopsy. So here's my question. Who is she referring to when she says Solicitor Murdoch? Is she referring to Alex or is she referring to Randy? Because at the beginning, or is she referring to Buster? Because at the beginning, she talks about how Randolph, brother boy Randy there, called her before they had even confirmed the death or confirmed that it was Stephen. So who's she referring to? Solicitor to me is like somebody that's like, for sure, Steph. I do think so as well, Steph. Exactly, Mark. That's who I thought she was thinking of. So in that case, okay, so she was referring to Randy. So it's almost like, so also hear me out too. We have to That's a really good question, KB Rays. That's a really good question. Randy claims he heard about the case. Well, who did you hear about it from, Randy? Because hey, Melissa Jade, because the cops hadn't confirmed to the family that it was him yet. 100% confirmation. So who did you hear it from, Randy, that you felt confident enough to hear about the case? I know, Melissa, I'm back though. I mean, so as much as we don't want to, and I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, but we do have to realize that there is a possibility that Maggie did know something about him because of the fact that Maggie was so close to Buster. But maybe not, Hey, Risk, the 2015 thing could be the first time they caught Alex stealing for I was about to be put on a milk cart. Very true. You all, if somebody finds what the murder or whatever it was that they're saying happened 3 decades ago, because this one says decades ago. So if there was something, we need to look back in their county and Hampton County murders and see if there was any ones that happened 3 decades ago. What is on my hair? Oh, okay. Somebody tell me how I have glue in my hair. Oh, no, it's just a fuzz. Okay. Yes. So how many times have we heard the Murdochs say they want to play a liaison, right? We know Alex did when Paul crashed the boat. We know that Randy did, and we know that John Marvin went and got Risk. I know. But here's the deal, y'all. Do you think that they're still scared? I mean, there's still the Murdochs out there, or do you think now this whole town? Thanks, Melissa. Oh, that's right. So done with it. It was a mistake. It was a mistake for all those times he stole. I'm just like, I'm hoping they're not still scared of the Murdochs, but at this point, they're so. You want to know what else is interesting? I didn't realize that John Marvin, how many businesses his hands. Oh, thanks. I got it highlighted to make sure the gray stays away. How many hands, John Marvin, how many different businesses he has his hands in? Like a Kubota. He owns a Kubota dealership. Oh, exactly, KB Race. We were talking about that last night. Exactly, Risk. They've been. And wasn't it like, there's a picture I saw. Let me pull this picture. So this is what old Buster Boy looked like in 2015. By the way, Tia it is so awesome because Tia and LFT have sent me so much stuff, and they're working this too, and they could have just kept it all for themselves. But let me show you what old Buster Boy looked like in 2015. If you haven't seen Buster. So this is Buster in 2015. I didn't do a very good job at whiting out the name, but. So if I remember correctly, somebody can verify this for me. Wasn't it stated that like Paul and stuff, they had started partying and drinking, and that was like a very common thing for them to just be trashed, like what, 14 or 15? Most hardworking men and their families wouldn't be afraid, right? Personally, I think that there's still an air of yeah, I believe so as well, Tia. I really believe so as well. Money laundering. Yep. I think it's going to be a battle to get anyone to actually be honest in that town still. Because, I mean, John Marvin still owns a lot of different things, including the dealerships. Dude, he was just looking for a truck driver. Did you guys... Wait a minute. Hold on. So he operates a truck driving... I'd be checking all of his trucks. John Marvin. Did you guys know that he... Okay, see? Listen, June 11th, 2021, y'all. Somebody's commenting, tagging Alex and Buster, okay? Risk. All right, awesome stuff. Saying, today was a challenging day for many, yet refreshing. I share this photo as an example of that teaching. This is my father, Randolph Murdoch III. Okay, because he died. But Maggie and Paul had just died. Like, so JM owns a construction business, several. So April 27th, 2021, JM Murdoch is renting out a hunting lodge to folks coming into the PGA event at, wait, is this the hunting lodge? So in April 27th, 2021, JM rents out or attempts to rent out the hunting lodge to folks coming into the PGA club in June. Oh, thanks, Punkat. Tia, is this the lodge? Is there more than one lodge in the Murdoch family, like more than one, or is it a family-owned lodge? Risk, it absolutely is. In fact, the company I work for, you don't know how many frauds we get, like trying to, oh, yeah. You guys, I am shocked looking on Facebook right now. And I'll tell you why I'm shocked. It's disgusting. We're like talking days after. It's bothering me because days after Maggie and Paul are killed, all I'm seeing on Facebook is people talking about Randolph that died. It's sad, but he was like 80 something. And Tia said it best. It was like he was the king, and Paul and Maggie were just like, yeah, sorry that happened. Sucks for them, but okay, he did. John Marvin has a hunting lodge as well. Okay. That he's continually trying to rent out. Wow. Holy cow. Now, I did see a Facebook post from Mark. Yeah, I looked up Buster's. Yes, I look up Buster's Facebook page. Any of you, you know what? I don't care. Go look at it, whatever. Because if you're going to be as dumbfounded as I am at the amount of lack of concern for Paul and Maggie, it's actually pretty disgusting. And I didn't think this kind of stuff even existed. So this is also Buster in 2015. I did have the courtesy this was one of his key friends I noticed in 2015. Y'all can find the picture. I did delete his face, but you can all find. But I mean, look there was no, JM has made serious efforts to separate himself. Really? So done with it? That'd be good. So Randy and Alex were first on the scene for which one? Stevens? Ah. Okay. Wow. So who's Eddie Phillips? Or is he just a really good friend of the family? Eddie and Debbie Phillips. Because I'm almost positive there was a Debbie Phillips at the hearing. Also, question for you. Why do you think, and this is just back to the housekeeper for a second, Tia, apparently who's Corey Fleming? Because that was somebody that was setting so the kid Andrew said that they were trying to set him, Corey Fleming and Alex were trying to set him up. Cousin Eddie's the guy that shot, yeah, Eddie Smith. Very true, KB Rays. But there's this other guy, Eddie, was just really weird to me. Him and his wife. It's just, I guess they were big golfing buddies. So, okay, LFT. Wow. Let's see what else Tia sent my way here. Let's take a look at it. She sent some good articles. I mean, anybody who thinks that this was he's in a okay, thanks, Tia. I guess I'm just different to me, but KB Rays is right. To me, it's like, I mean, I'd feel sad about like, an old dude dying, but if you guys haven't checked out any of Tia or LFT's stuff, Tia or LFT's lives about this case, it's amazing. Oh, okay, Tia. They're doing phenomenal work on this. He was such a sweet boy. Okay, this is what I want you guys to first, before we go into this is what I wanted you guys to answer me, because I was looking into this too. Corey is the one in the boat who lost his girlfriend. Then they were going to say, oh, okay. So the essay kit that they did, So here's what's kind of weird about that. As I was looking it up, and even like we know that, oh my gosh, so done with it, really? We know that like he was an escort, or allegedly, Stephen was, and lived that lifestyle. But I was reading, and it said to do any type of an SA kit, there really had to have been some sort of evidence, because it was ordered within an hour of finding him, from what I read. That's okay. Corey Fleming's the attorney, so him and Alex tried to set Andrew up. That's right. So there had to have been, wouldn't there have been some sort of evidence that was concerning that would lead them to believe that happened? Or do they always order that within an hour of finding somebody? Hey, Rena. I know, right, Mark? I mean, maybe I'm just naive. I guess it could be standard protocol for all hit and runs, maybe. Oh, Steph, very likely. Very likely. And where's the car? It just disappeared. Like Buster's old car has just disappeared. Exactly, Risk. And then so that we know that the SA kit was just never processed or lost. They thought it was lost, but apparently it was refound. But it's still not been. It's good, Rena. I hope you're well. It hasn't been processed, which at this point would it even? I just think I get all of his clothes were on and all that stuff, but I just think there has to have been some form of evidence that would lead them to believe. All right, sounds good, Steph, that there was that. I don't know, something's really weird. So I just want to make sure we've. Okay, so it's not. So listen, according to this article, he was found dead in the middle of the road with a 7.25-inch gaping hole on the right side of his forehead and no other major injuries. Obviously, no major external injuries. 7.25-inch gaping hole on the right side of his forehead. Do you know how big that is? Hold on a second. Somebody Google could a bat inch hole on a forehead? I hope no one ever, listen, if the FBI ever gets a hold of my phone, can you please tell them that I was researching for real, because they're wow. A bat can do some definite. Yeah, for sure. Very true too, Glenn Jammin. Oh my goodness. If everyone ever cleared the guy, I called 911 was cleared. That's a good point, KB Rays. I don't know. Can you imagine being a passerby to that? Oh my gosh. Okay, back to this. Till Tia comes up. So Todd Proctor seems to be the guy, a good guy. The timeline. So let's go over the timeline. July 8th 3:57 a.m., Hampton County Communications, a man called 911 to report seeing a white male lying in the middle of Sandy Run Road. 4:07, Michael Bridges. Let me see if he is. Exactly, Risk. Well, that's the other thing. There's a really good, like, you can tell if he ran out of gas. Check his tank. Okay. So Michael Bridges, who remember was a little bit shady. He had conflicting reports about what time he arrived. He arrived at 4:07. Okay, 5:15, Booker notified Bruce Brock of the incident. Nothing like rushing. Then they notified Corporal Michael Duncan of the incident. Moore of SCHP gets a call from Allen of SCHP telling him about a possible hit and run on Sandy Run Road. Allen tells Duncan that the only injuries to the victim were okay, this is at 5:37. Oh, there's Tia.
Hello.
Okay, so at 5:37 is when they actually call a hit and run in.
Well, the 911 call was called in just before 4 a.m.
Okay, but then it took them like an hour before they really did anything.
Right.
Could have been siphoned. You're right. So done with it. That's true because they did find the gas can or gas tank open.
We don't know if he was actually out of gas because they filled up the tank, not filled it up, but they had a gas can at wherever the car was impounded. And they filled it with gas before they started it. I don't say filled it up, but they put gas in it before they started it. So it's tough to tell if it was ever really out of gas. So I don't know.
Whoa. So Duncan, one of the cops, on the way to the scene, calls Booker, said he was told it appeared to be a homicide and SLED was taking over. Advised there was a possible gunshot wound to the victim's head. Oh my gosh. Wow. What are your thoughts?
Because I'm sure he had to look like a whole mess laying there. But yet I don't think that's where the actual crime was committed. I think that's where he was staged. That's my opinion. Because especially after what you said today, like you have totally changed things for me. And that's what it takes. Just one comment and you get thrown way off. But, and I have like goosebumps all over my whole entire body right now because every time you say he's kicked, I'm like, holy crap. That is
I do think he was kicked.
That is like a whole new lookout for me. So I'm like,
what if so done. Who said this? So done with it. What if he was kicked out of the car? Like, and they drove off, like they beat him somewhere else and then just kicked him out of the back seat or something. I mean, it could be anything.
What does it take? Because you're more knowledgeable in this than I am. And you had some really great thoughts on this, but tell me about a dislocated shoulder because you have to really yank someone around, right?
Well, think about how you yank your kids around and stuff like when they're little or something, but to dislocate an adult shoulder would take some pretty direct hits. Yeah, well, let's see. Let's just see here. What does my Google does it take to dislocate? And remember, they did say there was some abnormal what did it say, like abnormal abrasions? How much force does it take to dislocate a shoulder? Force required to dislocate a shoulder in normal terms. Hold on. I got it.
In normal terms. In English, please, for those of us.
To dislocate a human shoulder, it usually takes direct contact with more force and does more damage. A dislocation that uses the arm as a lever. So this isn't the shoulder. So the shoulder it takes a strong. Okay, according to the National Institute of Health, shoulder dislocations is a major joint dislocation. It takes a strong force, such as a blow to the shoulder, to pull a shoulder blade out of place.
Oh my God.
Could have thrown him off. You're right. So done with. They could have easily thrown him off the bat. Why would they put in the initial report? Crazy mama. That just must be how deep that 7 and 2.5 inch gaping hole was in his forehead. He did not have any injuries that were ever mentioned in the lower part of his body.
No, the arms were the lowest, the dorsal part of your arm, which is
and yet they
forearm,
still
right?
An SA kit.
The SA kit pisses me off.
A blow to the shoulder. Wow. Trauma from motor vehicle accidents and falls are a common source of dislocation. However, not from a motor vehicle. Wow.
But it does say a blow, right?
That's what it says. A strong forced blow to the shoulder blade, because that's like one of your hardest, I would imagine one of the hardest ones to dislocate, because getting hit by a car. Well, we know Presnell had to have been on Murdoch's.
I got you, Crazy. Thank you very much for that text. Crazy just sent me a text talking about dislocated. So a strong hit to the shoulder joint, such as those suffered in car accidents, can result in dislocation of shoulder. Closing the wound with a closed reduction surgery, immobilization medication. Okay.
Proud grandma, that's a great point. And that's why the coroner was like, no, there's no, if you get hit by a car, you're going to have some form of lower, I don't care if it's scrapes or there's no mention of any abrasions or anything on his legs.
Mm-mm. No, and his legs are shown in a lot of the picture. You can see his legs and the position of his legs in a lot of the pictures, which I don't encourage you to look at because I'm not trying to be a jerk about that. But I'm just saying, there are pictures. We actually have a couple too.
Did he have shorts on?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on. You got.
Yeah.
Great points. I love So Done With It. She's brilliant. His other organs did not appear to have injury. That's so true. That's so true. Spleen. I looked this up. Again, my Google is spleens are one of the biggest things to rupture in a car being hit by a car because of where where you hit on your body. You're standing up, boom, no matter what. When you see people get hit, what do you always see them do? Fly up. But first they hit boom. Yeah, right. Even with the spleen, there is no way with everything that was done to his head and stuff. I don't see how his spleen didn't rupture.
That's weird. No.
Look at Crazy Mama said her mother's was injured in a car accident. Did you just disappear?
I mean,
oh, there you are.
Here I am. That's so weird.
How far up?
Cheerios.
I mean, let's say you got to remember too, Stephen was 5'9". So let's say he gets hit by a truck. So that's going to hit him right at the level of his shoulder probably and stuff like that. But he's not going to go flying in the air. I don't think so. He's just going to go I want to know.
Kate went flying.
Huh?
Did you hear that story about Kate?
She got hit by a car?
Oh my God. So we're on panel with Jen Liu on our panel one night talking about getting hit by a car. And out of nowhere, Kate goes, "Oh my God, wait, I was hit by a car and my shoes flew off." And then continued to tell the story like we were just supposed to go along with this. Before I was like, full freaking stop, my friend. What? What? So when she was in high school, Kate was going to school one day and she was hit by a drunk driver. And she came out of her shoes and one sock. And I don't remember how fast she said the guy was going. I want to say that she told us like 30 miles an hour. Maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm making that up. Kate, I'm sorry if I did. I'm not trying to make things up. But she went flying over the car.
Oh my gosh.
But the best part of the whole story is that she drops this dime and keeps talking like we're not supposed to ask any questions. And I was like,
And then she just carries on. But anyways, like,
yeah,
wow,
exactly.
okay.
So she has been my go-to, and I'm not trying to exploit her by any means or bring anything back. But honestly, I've asked her a million questions on this because I'm like, I can't believe. Well, first of all, thank God you're alive, and secondly, like, she's been my go-to. Like, do you remember what happened here, there, and the other thing? And she has been amazing. Like, filling us with knowledge on being hit by a car and walking away. Now, she didn't walk away from it, but
his clothes weren't tattered or anything, right?
Nope. Nothing was dirty. His phone was in perfect condition.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
just his face.
I dropped my phone at 3 feet getting out of the car and the whole thing shatters. He gets hit by a car, dies, and his phone looks like I'm not saying it's brand new, but I mean, it looks good.
There's no way that he just randomly, and I don't believe maybe they were smashing mailbox. We're going to look into that. But
yeah,
I don't believe that for 1 second that they just happened to see Steven and thought, he's gay. I'm going to beat the crap out of him and kill him.
Nope. This is targeted.
No, he wasn't hit.
I agree, it was staged. You're absolutely right. And the way his legs were in the photos, he literally was like dumped. It was a body dump.
Oh my God.
And by no means do I mean that disrespectfully in any way, shape, or form towards Steven. But the way he wasn't placed, he was just late, like dumped.
Wow. Okay, so they're showing you right here. What is this showing us? So, this is how his body was.
This is the body and the position of the road.
Yeah, so that's how his body was. So let's see. I don't know if you can all see it, but that little in the middle right there is supposed to be, that's how his body was positioned in the road. Yeah.
Also, in the group that I put you in, Parker, there's some official mock-ups of how he was too. So if you want to go like look in there later or whatever, you have those. I was hit by a car, but that was my cousin. This is why I love Mark Klein. I'm fine. My shoes.
They absolutely do. Legs get made. Yeah, they could have been smashed. Yeah, for sure. So done with it. I mean, they definitely could have been smashing mailboxes. I do think that Steven was gonna out one of
somebody. Well, also, didn't somebody say that they were at a softball tournament, which is interesting to me because what happened before that?
Very true. So a hole in the skull was located above the victim's right eye. A hole, guys. I have not seen many car crashes that give you a hole, but hey, I've not been in one. It was still unclear at this time, when they first found him, if this hole was caused by a projectile. The victim's right arm was covered in blood, but the agents were unable to see any injuries. SLED agents noted minor injuries to the victim's left arm, left hand, and head. Interesting. They searched the area for cartridge cases. The victim's hands were bagged. They found the vehicle key in the victim's left pocket. No other evidence was located at that time.
Yeah, crazy mama. So the car that hit him shot him. Yes.
The weather was cloudy and 92 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So the cause of death was, so this is what I don't understand. She or he, whoever Presnell is, she, right?
She, yeah.
Says that the blunt head trauma was due to a motor vehicle crash, but the matter of death, what does that say? Unconfirmed or something?
Yeah, undetermined. So she has them confused, I think. I really, like I said this last night on our live, I think this was her first go around. I think this was her first rodeo because those should be reversed. Manner and cause are complete, manner of death is blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
Cause we're still looking for. I feel like she has that reversed.
They really thought this was a gunshot.
Mm-hmm. That's how bad the head injury was.
There were no glass fragments. You don't get hit by a car and there'd be no glass fragments. I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, I just don't.
And
think
there's
so.
only a tiny microscopic, those blue paint chips.
So they asked her, this person, the police, asked Presnell, why was she ruling it a motor vehicle accident and what she thought caused the head injury. And she said, it's not my job to figure that out. It's yours. Wow.
Yeah. Plus, he was laying in the road. So that's why she diagnosed it as, just we're laying in there. So,
This is insane.
She's a piece of work, this one. And I'm legitimately, I'm making it my life's mission to just be as nasty as I can about her because what she did is a complete injustice. I'm sorry. Like I really try to find compassion in all areas, but this lady, I got nothing for her. And she's created nothing but drama for this family. And she is, well, look at this report. This is the report that we have to go on. This bullshit is what we have to deal with because of her. Nope. I'm not okay with this.
Is she still in practicing?
Well, she got fired from this position, thank Christ himself. But don't
you love how it's days before they actually say they've really talked to Stephen's family?
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable.
Well, also Mark Klein, that's a really good, I don't know if you were in here earlier when Parker talked about that, but who walks in the middle of the road anytime, day or night? He was very skittish. Like he didn't walk he wasn't a middle of the road walker. He avoided. He was very skittish.
So done with it. No, I haven't. I'm going to have to watch that. My concern is that people are still scared of them. I want to know who came up and told the older brother who these people were that said that the Murdoch nephews, Buster, did it. Like we don't know who those people are, right?
No. And that's the crap part of being in small town America, and especially down there where everybody knows everybody and everybody's, texts, phones and everything. You hear this and it's like, oh, well, it had to be these people, that people, I don't even know where it states other than his best friend about who he was dating as far as a prominent family member. Like,
oh my gosh, the casket was open.
Oh, that's the best part. LFT told me about that. Oh, okay. So the reason the casket was open is because his sister Stephanie said, if we have to look at him like this, you have to look at him.
And so they're only guessing that his time of injury was 3:00, right?
It's between 1 and 4. Yeah, 1
Okay.
in whatever time that they called. But his body was still warm. So, I mean, granted, it was hot and it was on the hot pavement, the asphalt, whatever.
Well, this is the guy. Steven's boyfriend is Mark, who we know.
Oh, Lord. Have you looked into him at all?
He says Steven was harassed in his town and said people screwed with Steve. You know, here's the thing with old Marky Boy is it would not put it past me that they've paid him off too. Like the Murdoch people.
Right. Well, if you read, like in the beginning, he is all over trying to get a hold of the police. Like he calls like 5 times, you know, constantly calling. And then they go to call him back and there's nothing. So I'm like, what changed his mind? Who changed his mind?
Can you imagine having such balls and to think that they are so all that these Murdoch people that you just Randy just randomly thinks, hey, I'm going to go ahead and call and offer my assistance. Like, who do you think you are to just call the parents and just be like,
weird. I think it's weird as
hell. Contact will a bat make with a side swing? Oh, don't you worry, Steph Lynn. I'm going to be Googling that later and figuring that out. But please question these people and they won't talk. Yep. Strong, but right. I'm telling you, some of the pictures I saw of some of the people that Steven or Buster hung out with too.
Did you go stalking?
That was a little bit interesting.
Yeah, you have a little fun out there. I told you, everything's
Buster
open.
Had some, I do not make any mistake. I think Buster had some people on his payroll as well, for sure. Did you know the Murdoch boys are okay? So Steven's relative tells him that she officially left the house for the first time, blah, blah, blah. And so people were telling them that the Murdoch boys were. I wanted to know if Steven was at their house, if that's where he was coming from.
Well, that's what I want to know too. I want to know what happened. I want the timeline of the day.
Okay, so Sandy says Steven was skeptical of the man claiming to be Steven's boyfriend. Okay. She tells police Steven was going to school in Orange and hung out at Bobcat Landing a lot recently. We need to look into that. He had recently been cutting school, which was unusual for him. Sandy mentions that a man at Bilo, which was must be where he was hanging out, was giving him trouble, but they became friends. There's a rumor
James,
that everybody's coming up to me saying it was the Murdoch boys. Interesting.
LFT said, have you watched any of Eric Allen's videos, by the way?
No, I'm going to have to.
Okay, because his are really, really, they're good because they're in-depth, but they're short. And he's a local. So first of all, they're beautiful to watch because he did a great job with the drones. But it's pretty educational.
I'm legitimately trying to talk my husband Friday into driving over there since we're going through South Carolina.
I really how far off the beaten path is it?
I don't know. I'm going to check into it. Yeah, you got to look up his Facebook, and his actual Facebook is like open, but it's not. You can't see all of his posts, but you can see everybody else's posts with him in it, and that's when my eyes were really opened. Well, my third opening was when I saw everybody making such a big deal out of Granddaddy, and no one mentioning Paul or whatever, Paul and Maggie. That was eye-opening to me to realize what kind of power the men had in that town. But then just some of the people he hung with, like those boys got away with anything.
I know. Well, and that their mother was the one that was like, you're Murdochs. You can do whatever you want. That's how she raised them.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, I just don't think she was all that lovey. Like she enabled them as much as Alex did. People say she wasn't kind to the nannies and stuff either. So, I mean, that's hearsay, but I'm just saying it.
Do you get warm fuzzies from her? I mean, I do not.
I don't get warm fuzzies. I think she liked the money and liked to look a certain way. And she loved her kids, but was very okay with the nannies.
Yeah.
hands-on, and
You deal with that. I don't have to.
the boys were going to be hunting and
Mhm.
fishing and strong boys and all this kind of party when they're young and get away with whatever you want. And what if his debit card? Yeah, that's true, Mark. Yes, they thought they were untouchable.
They really did.
I'm hoping. I don't know if Randy's involved in that or if he's just. It's like they all know that each other is involved, so they quickly got to get out of it.
Mhm.
Or if that was Randy trying to do an insurance scam that they did on Gloria. I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm so excited that you're doing this.
Oh, I'm addicted now.
It's really addictive. It's like a drug. It really. I'm so glad you said that because it really is like a drug. Once you get involved, and then you get to know the players, and you get to know all the. It's like there's more questions than answers, though. I will tell you that. If you're looking for satisfaction at the end of this, there's very little satisfaction. It's kind of like, damn it.
Yeah,
The only
and it's not
satisfaction I got was watching
it's not
Alex.
everybody's cup of tea. They're kind of sick of Murdoch, but I think this goes back so many generations
I agree.
that we're gonna find, and we're gonna be like, these people, I mean, have done some dirty, dirty things.
And
I gotta be
Grandpa
honest,
Randolph
I don't know
was
if they feel bad for it.
awful.
Yeah.
Grandpa was awful. I mean, did you hear what he said about Mallory Beach when they were at
No.
the hospital? Oh my God, Parker.
Yes. I remember in that in the Netflix doc. That's right.
Isn't that horrible?
It's almost like they feel like, okay, these people are disposable because
Yes.
they're just disposable because they're not a Murdoch and they're horrible human beings and they don't do what we want. So
yeah.
And Paul was not a nice man to Morgan.
No.
And I love how people are throwing her under the bus, though. We'll ask Morgan. She knows all about it because God
Has she not been through enough, this girl? She's a young girl. Like, think about this. She is a young girl. This was her first relationship in high school. This was her first dealing with a boy. And he's smacking her about and treating her like crap and calling her names. And yet all the time also like taking her all over the place and showing her off because she's beautiful. And I mean, that had to mess her up. My heart goes out to her.
I think there's so much that those kids know that we don't even know they know yet because
I know.
I mean, we can be guaranteed that whatever info they have, hell, Randy's having to pick up AM leftovers from. Oh yeah.
Well, Alex stole Randy's money too. He stole like $157,000, which I was like, that is your brother.
And now, like everything left from Granddad's estate to Alex, or the estate that the other ones were, they have to give that right to Gloria's sons, which they should.
Mm-hmm.
That's all owed to them. Like I'm so thankful.
Well,
we're not sure that's Alex's kid, but
oh my God, that's so weird. Still, but Buster does get $500,000 from the Adesto home.
Oh,
he does get that $500,000. So,
really, Izzy girl, well, send us research. Anything you have, email it over. I do believe, looking at Buster now, and the reason I think he's only I do believe he had involvement. The only reason I think he's still standing by his father is because he knows his father knows things.
Yeah, well, I think
Can you guys imagine living with the amount of secrets that family has still? And John JM, his kids aren't that old. For their sake, they need to separate themselves.
No, and I think Gloria, and I'm going to say this with the wink in my eye, but I think Gloria knew where all bodies were buried, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I think Gloria knew so much. And I do not think Paul had anything to do with their death. I think Paul loved Gloria very much.
I agree. But I don't know if you heard us.
They said it didn't need to be done, right? They didn't need another autopsy. They had enough or something.
Oh God, I hope that's not true because I hope we're not going off this one. No, the reason they're hiring an outside pathologist, like
to get him exhumed, correct?
Yes, they're going to test him again. Supposedly, that's what all this money was raised for, was to get him exhumed and get another pathologist because this cannot be trusted. This BS cannot be trusted.
Are we sure Granddad died of old age? Because
that old geezer. Oh, what a horrible human.
It's just weird because no one really, it's like they didn't really care about Maggie, right? She was just disposable because I think she was going to start to spill the tea or leave or something.
That's the thing, though. Everybody's
Paul was
disposable
just
unless you're a bloodline.
And Paul was a complete liability. For all we know, Granddad told Alex, kill him or something. You know, like,
get rid of him.
But Stephen was,
Now, Granddad, died on the day that Paul was supposed to be in court, the 10th.
I know.
Isn't that weird? I think that's.
And that's what 2 days after when they were killed, the 7th, Maggie and Paul.
Yeah. Yes, and Maggie and Paul also were cremated immediately. Sled, this is the wackadoodle part. Sled released the bodies because, it's the Murdochs, and they released the bodies early so that they could have the funeral. I can't. So they cremated the bodies.
Meanwhile, brother JM goes and cleans up the crime scene and wants us all to feel sorry because he said he was cleaning up brains and stuff. Your brother did, and goes and cleans it up. Remember, JM was also the guy that took the boat out of the water, who got special permission both times. Oh my gosh. When I hear about Paul like laughing when Mallory's boyfriend was hysterical and stuff, that just
Crazy Mama, I don't know where they're doing the autopsy yet because they haven't said who's doing the autopsy. To my knowledge, they haven't given out yet. But I hope you're right. I hope it's New York and not. I don't know where it is. God bless him, though.
They said that Alex really didn't do that many trials. Like he was
he was the table lawyer. He was the table lawyer.
Yeah.
He was the guy that would shake, he was the shake hands. He was, he wasn't the trial lawyer. He wasn't the lawyer you hired. He was the guy who, so Randolph was the one who made all the connections in town and kept them. Alec was the guy, like his dad, sweet talked to everybody and had that silver tongue and kind of went around and kept the family business going like that. Whereas I think Randy was more the educated in the law type of lawyer. I mean, the other lawyers obviously were lawyers, but they used their prowess, if you will. Deal maker. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, he was the wheeler and the dealer.
Wow.
No, he just, he would make those connections. He'd make that phone call. Do we really need to go through with this? You just want to, write me a check? Yeah, I'll just write you a check. Cool. We'll call it a day. Great. Well, I'll just keep the money and not give it to my client, and we'll send it right over to Corey Fleming. And
I just find it hysterical that no one ever asked Randy how he knew. Like
how he knew what? How he got involved.
Or how he knew that before the family was confirmed.
I know.
By law enforcement. How did you know who it was? I mean, right. Small towns, I get it. News travels. But
the only thing that I can figure out with that is that when he heard about the accident, he called somebody that he knew, because they all do, and they probably told him.
A scanner? Would a scanner tell?
But a scanner, you're not going to.
You wouldn't say who it was.
They might, though. They might run the driver's license. Because do you guys ever listen to scanners? They do run the driver's license right over the scanner.
But that would mean that Randy was listening to the scanner at 3 a.m.
Right. And that's my issue with it, is I'm wondering if someone called him. No, the scanner does give information. If you guys listen, okay, I'm going to tell you. Sometimes at night when I can't sleep, I listen to Chicago. Yeah, because Chicago's crazy out there, man. Those people are all over the place. So I listen to the Chicago Scanner, and they give all the info out. All if driver's license.
Yeah. I agree, Steph. You know why I think that too? Because Alex couldn't be the one to do it because Buster was the same age as Steven. So he had to kind of put a little separation there. So he had to call brother Randy to take care of it.
See, what if though, and I said this like hypothetically, all the things, it's just a theory, but what if younger brother was the prominent person?
It's possible too if they were all drunk and Timmy came out to play again.
I don't know. Like, I'm just, I'm like,
we have to remember strength too. I mean, I guess if he had a bat, that could. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but did you see the size of some of those guys that Buster hangs out with? Football
you guys
players.
Got to go to Facebook and just Google it. You gotta go to Facebook and just type in Buster Murdoch, and then
it'll take you down a path, and you'll know why I requested everybody. I did. You
will. Maybe Buster was sick of the gossip stories, truth about them. Yeah, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, if Steven was about to drop the fact that he was, or if Steven, like we know Steven started telling his sister that he was dating a guy or seeing a guy from a prominent family. If Buster got wind of that from Steven, like that he was starting to slip up and say things, oh my goodness. That would, I mean, can you imagine the Murdoch shame?
I know. P.S. Everyone stay away from Chicago. Chicago, I'm telling you, Chicago has the best scanner.
I don't know, Izzy. I don't know how you do that. It's still not admit it, and still, even after you're going to jail for the rest of your life, and you're just like,
look at all these people, Izzy, that are doing it though. Like
it's highly possible, Steph. And not only, and Steven was an escort, not from a prominent family. I mean, that's.
I don't even think that he was going to blackmail. I think that he just had knowledge, and they were nervous because. I don't think that I mean, the Murdochs, they can't be outdone, right? So even if you know something, even though you might not say something, you have that knowledge, and that's terrifying to them.
Yep. Well, and there's not very many like deep sea fishing trip to have a boat that's going to do a deep sea fishing trip. What we know that they have a boat that does a deep sea fishing trip, like. And I saw pictures for July. And we know that Steven said, or allegedly, according to sister, that he was going on a deep sea fishing trip in July. There's not many guys in that town that would have access to that, that could just hop off on a deep sea fishing trip on their own boat. I don't know. New Mexico is pretty bad too.
Oh, geez.
I know. But, I'm going to hop off of here and go research some more of this stuff. You guys, if you have anything, shoot me an email, shoot Tia an email. If you come across anything, I want to start digging in the history of the granddaddy Murdoch, because I think it all starts with granddaddy.
But you have whatever research we have. So
yeah.
You just, if you need anything, just ask. We'll give you whatever. Because as far as I'm concerned, we're all on the same team on this. So
for sure.
Whatever you need from us that we might have, just pillage and purge.
They did. That was a majority of their pictures we see is, and we know, we know, God, if it was Paul, that was, oh my gosh. But yeah, we know they liked their boating and their fishing.
Hi, Shift.
All right. I got to go make sure my hoodlums are in bed. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, Tia. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks for letting me up. Bye.